What if the very things that shattered you were never accidents at all? What if the delays that made you doubt yourself, the rejections that bruised your confidence, and even the heartbreaks that left you aching were not setbacks but sacred signposts? What if they were not random at all, but woven into a deeper, invisible design crafted by the universe itself? Because here's the truth: the universe is not chaotic, and life is not simply a string of coincidences. Everything you face is intricately tied to who you're becoming. You were never abandoned, never forgotten. You were being refined, shaped, molded by forces greater than your comprehension. In this video, we journey into a timeless insight whispered for centuries through Buddhist philosophy. The idea that nothing in life is without meaning. Every moment, every loss, every painful turn is part of a vast unfolding meant to wake you up, strip away illusion, and gently return you to your truest self. So take a breath and ask yourself, what if the pain had purpose? Before we begin with the first insight, where each video is crafted as a sacred space for calm, clarity, and ancient Buddhist truth that speaks to the heart of your journey. And stay with us until the end, because there's a powerful bonus teaching waiting, one that may just shift the way you see your entire path. Now, let's begin. 1. The moment that broke you was the moment that opened you. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the ground gives way. A word is spoken that cuts deep. A door closes that you prayed would open. A silence lingers too long, and in that silence, something inside you fractures. You feel it. Not always as a sound, but as a wave, an invisible crack that splits your world in two. And in that instant, it may seem as though you're falling apart. But what if that moment wasn't the end of you, but the beginning? Ancient wisdom tells us, not metaphorically but quite literally, that the wound is where the light enters. It is not just poetic, it is profoundly spiritual truth. Picture a humble clay pot, whole, simple, and solid. When it cracks, it may no longer serve the function it once did, but suddenly, light can enter and even pass through. The same vessel that once held only water now becomes something radiant, translucent. This is the mysterious grace of being broken. You were not being destroyed, you were being opened. In Buddhism, suffering is not seen as a punishment. It is an invitation, an awakening. It calls us to see beyond surface appearances, to feel what we've long buried, and to live with a heightened presence we might otherwise never touch. The first noble truth acknowledges that suffering exists, but the second noble truth assures us it is not meaningless. Suffering has a cause, and anything that has a cause also has a purpose. What appears to be your undoing may in fact be your initiation into deeper wisdom, into compassion, into the self you were always meant to become. When we resist our pain, we harden. The body tightens, the breath shortens, and the heart withdraws behind invisible walls. But something extraordinary happens when we stop fighting what hurts. When we choose, even for a moment, to sit with the ache, to breathe into it gently, to listen instead of flee, something within us begins to shift. So right now, take a breath. Close your eyes, bring your awareness to that place inside you that still aches, not to fix it, not to make it disappear, but simply to feel it with presence. What is it trying to show you? What quiet lesson has been waiting behind the curtain of that sorrow, patiently asking to be seen? So many of us spend years running from the memories that sting, from the betrayal we didn't deserve, from the loss we couldn't stop, from the moment that took more than we thought we could bear. We try to erase the pain, to rewrite the past, to numb the ache that lingers. But what if that very moment, the one that brought you to your knees, was not the end, but the beginning? The moment your soul began to rise, not in fire and thunder, but slowly, quietly, authentically, like the dawn that arrives without permission, yet fills the world with light. I remember a moment from my own path, a time when someone I trusted with everything walked away without a word. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And in that silence, I was left with questions too heavy to carry and no answers to soothe them. But in that empty space, something sacred began to unfold. I started to meet someone I had never truly known myself. Not the polished version I had shown to the world, not the version built on titles, expectations, or roles, but the raw, honest, inward-facing self who had always been there waiting beneath the masks. Slowly, like moonlight unfurling over still water, clarity came. A sense of peace that didn't erase the pain, but made it beautiful. So I ask you now, what pain cracked you open? What strength rose in the silence that followed? What truth did you meet in your darkest hour? Write it down. Don't analyze it. Just hold it gently in your awareness. That is not weakness. That is the seed of your sacred rebirth. It is how we are reshaped, not by force, but by surrender. If this message touches something deep within you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more Buddhist reflections that speak to the quiet places of the soul. And if you're open, share in the comments. What moment transformed you? What would you have done differently? Or did life, in its strange wisdom, unfold just as it needed to? Let this stay with you. Nothing is coincidence. Life is never random. Everything you lost, everything that broke you, it wasn't meant to end you. It was meant to prepare you. You are not damaged. You are awakening. The soul does not shine despite the cracks. It shines because of them. And if you're not sure what to say, just type, "I trust every twist." We're listening, and we're with you. 2. You were delayed to be divinely aligned. There are seasons in life when everything slows to a whisper. No doors open, no signs appear. You give your best effort, and still, nothing moves. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. And in that long, stretching silence, doubt begins to take root. You start to question, am I being punished? Have I been forgotten? But what if what you're calling a delay is actually divine protection? What if the life you thought you wanted wasn't postponed, but preserved, held back not to punish you, but to position you for something far more aligned? Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, not yet is sometimes the most loving answer the universe can give. Of course, it rarely feels that way in the moment, especially when your carefully built plans collapse, when your efforts go unnoticed, or when the world seems to reward everyone but you. But timing, true timing, isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. It's not about how fast you move, it's about what part of you is moving. Sometimes the external stillness is asking for an internal shift, because the universe doesn't operate on your calendar, it moves in rhythm with your soul's alignment. Think of the bamboo tree. For years after it is planted, it shows no sign of growth. Nothing sprouts. Nothing blooms. Beneath the surface, it is building roots, deep, sturdy, unseen. And then in what feels like an instant, it skyrockets upwards with breathtaking speed. What looks like overnight success is actually years of silent preparation. And perhaps you too are in such a phase, root building, unseen, uncelebrated, but no less essential. Because true growth is not always visible. It often happens in the unseen spaces where strength is carved quietly into your being. In Buddhist practice, this is the essence of patient presence, learning to wait without resistance. Life is not testing you to see how much you can endure. Life is teaching you to trust what you cannot yet see. So take a deep breath. As you inhale, say silently to yourself, "I trust." As you exhale, whisper gently, "In perfect timing." Again, "I trust." In perfect timing. Can you feel the tightness in your chest beginning to loosen? Can you sense the burden of needing to control it all begin to lift? There is a sacred power in being delayed. It forces reflection. It sharpens your discernment. It builds a quiet kind of strength, the kind that no one sees but everyone eventually feels, because when you don't receive what you want right away, you begin to question what you truly need. And in that questioning, desire transforms into wisdom. You no longer chase what glitters, you wait for what grounds you. I once spoke with someone who was crushed when they didn't land a job they had desperately wanted. They believed life had failed them. But months later, a different opportunity emerged, one that honored their values, nurtured their peace, and aligned with their deeper purpose in a way the previous one never could. That rejection wasn't a closed door, it was a divine not yet, and that delay didn't break them. It awakened them. So ask yourself gently, what if this waiting is sacred preparation? What if this pause is shaping you to carry something larger, something wiser, something meant only for the you that is still becoming? Write it down. Let the question settle in your bones. You are not falling behind. You are being realigned with truth, with timing, with purpose. If these words stir something within you, if they feel like a mirror held up to your own quiet struggles, take a moment now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your reflections in the comments. What have you been waiting for? And more importantly, what might this delay be trying to teach you? Sometimes, simply naming it brings clarity. Sometimes, your answer becomes the lantern for someone else walking through the dark. Let this truth echo gently in your heart. Nothing is coincidence. The universe is not careless. It is not running late. It is deliberate. It is patient. And yes, it is deeply, quietly loving. The path you are on was never meant to be rushed. It was never about racing toward a destination. It was about becoming the version of you who could truly receive what's waiting. Some detours are not distractions. They are divine directions, gentle redirections guiding you toward a life that already belongs to you, even if it hasn't fully unfolded yet. What you're waiting for may already exist, just beyond the veil, and every step, every pause, every seeming setback is leading you there, not away. So breathe, trust. You are not late. You are right on time. 3. What falls away reveals what cannot be taken. There comes a time when something you cherish begins to slip through your fingers. A relationship you nurtured, a role you gave your all to, a dream you carried for years, suddenly begins to unravel. And the question stings deep. Why now? Why this? When I loved it the most, it feels like betrayal. But perhaps it's not life betraying you. Perhaps it's life beginning to reveal you. In Buddhist wisdom, impermanence is not a curse, it's a compass. Everything that falls away is making space for what cannot be taken. What is truly yours cannot be lost. What leaves was never meant to stay. What remains, that is your truth. Think of the tree in autumn. It sheds its leaves not because it is dying, but because it is preparing for something deeper, a quiet blooming. The tree doesn't resist the fall, it releases, and in that surrender, it prepares its roots for the next season. In your life too, things may be falling, not apart, but into alignment. Imagine your heart as a tree. Close your eyes. See the branches stretched wide. Now gently release one leaf, just one. Let it float down slowly, let it go without judgment, without blame. Breathe. This is how healing begins, not by holding tighter, but by learning when to let go. There was a time I clung to something I had outgrown, a version of myself shaped by fear. I tried to hold the job, the role, the identity, but the more I clutched, the more life whispered, "This no longer holds you." And the moment I allowed it to fall, something profound happened. I didn't collapse. I opened. I realized that loss is not the absence of love. It is often its evolution. What have you been holding on to that no longer holds you? What space is quietly opening because of that release? Sit with these questions. Don't rush. Let the answers rise like spring from winter silence. And if you've ever felt like life took something away from you unfairly, pause. It may have been a form of grace too deep for words. You see, the soul doesn't grow through additions. It grows through subtractions, through space, through silence, through falling leaves. If these words awaken something within you, like this video, subscribe, and in the comments share what is one thing you are finally ready to let fall away. Remember this: the universe doesn't punish, it prunes. It removes to reveal. What falls was never meant to define you. What stays, that is your essence, and nothing real can ever be lost. 4. Rejection is the universe's recalibration. There are moments in life that feel like slamming doors, rejections that echo in the chambers of your heart. You didn't get the job, they didn't choose you. The opportunity vanished just as you were reaching for it, and in that stillness you may whisper, "Why me?" But pause for a moment and consider this. What if that no was never meant to break you, but to bend you towards something better? In the calm light of Buddhist wisdom, rejection is not a punishment, it is redirection. A closed door protects you from the fire behind it. Not every path is meant to be walked. Not every desire is meant to unfold, but every experience, even the painful ones, unfolds with meaning, with perfect precision, even if you cannot see it now. A river does not stop flowing when a rock blocks its path. It doesn't mourn, it doesn't resist. It simply curves, softly, powerfully, carving a new way forward, and eventually that new path leads it to the ocean. Life works like this too. When you are pushed away from something, it may be so you can flow more freely into something else. Think back to the last time life told you no. Maybe it was a door you were convinced should open. Maybe it was someone you loved who turned away. Breathe into the possibility that the no was actually a greater yes, one that would not have revealed itself unless life had intervened. I once chased a path with all my heart. I believed it was my destiny, but the more I pressed forward, the more resistance I met. It was painful. It felt personal, but in time, I saw it clearly that rejection had set me free. It led me to deeper purpose, to peace I never imagined, to alignment I didn't know I was missing. What if your greatest detour was your clearest direction? What beauty has emerged from your most painful no? Reflect on that. Let it surface gently. Sometimes the very thing we call disappointment becomes the place where our true path begins. And if you are in the middle of a rejection right now, breathe. Don't fight the current. Trust where it is taking you. Life does not misplace people, it repositions them. Then repositions them. And sometimes being denied what you thought you wanted is the greatest act of compassion the universe can give. If this message opened something in your heart, pause and comment. What rejection, in hindsight, became your greatest blessing? Like this video and subscribe for more moments of mindful clarity. Remember, the universe doesn't block to punish. It blocks to guide. Trust the current. It knows where you are meant to go. 5. The soul chooses growth, not comfort. There is a reason peace often follows the storm, not because storms are cruel, but because they are sacred, necessary. We may long for calm skies and easy roads, but the soul has its own ancient compass, and it does not point toward comfort, it points toward expansion. And expansion, by its very nature, stretches us beyond the edges of what feels safe, beyond the boundaries of what is familiar, like the lotus flower, which cannot bloom in pristine waters, but must rise, trembling and persistent, from the mud. The soul, too, unfolds through resistance. We are conditioned to chase what is light and effortless, to seek the beautiful and avoid the broken, but the soul is wiser than that. It leads us into discomfort, into uncertainty, into the places we'd rather not go, because it knows the truth that most of us try to forget. Transformation almost never comes wrapped in serenity. It comes disguised as pressure, as confusion, as pain. Think back to a moment in your life when everything collapsed, not quietly, but like a house crumbling around you. Maybe you lost something, maybe you lost yourself, At the time it felt like failure, like the end of everything. But after the dust settled, did you not find something new, rising from that wreckage? A truth you didn't know you carried, a strength you hadn't yet tasted, a version of yourself that never would have emerged without the breaking. This is the soul's journey. It does not walk in straight lines. It spirals. It circles back to old wounds, not to reopen them in cruelty, but to show you how far you've come. It doesn't cling to comfort, not because it is harsh, but because it knows comfort alone cannot awaken you. Comfort may cradle you, but it rarely changes you. The soul is not here to keep you safe. It is here to wake you up. So pause now, close your eyes. Let your breath guide you inward. Ask gently, what is my soul trying to become? Wait for the whisper beneath the noise. Maybe it's trying to become braver, softer, more honest, more whole. But whatever it is, know this, no real becoming happens without shedding, without discomfort, without a little mud. Where in your life are you resisting this discomfort, clinging to control, trying to hold everything together, when maybe, just maybe, it's meant to fall apart? Maybe the unraveling isn't a mistake. Maybe it's a doorway. Pain is not punishment. Suffering is not senseless. Every emotion has wisdom to offer. Every challenge is shaping you into someone deeper, more aware, more alive. And every storm you survive washes away something that was never truly yours to keep. So don't run from what hurts. Breathe into it. Sit with it. Let it speak. Because the deeper the ache, the more profound the transformation it holds. Like the bamboo that must crack before it ascends toward the sky, you are not breaking. You are being reshaped. You are becoming. If this spoke to something quiet inside of you, let it move you, like this video. Subscribe for more spiritual wisdom and comment below. What part of you is being reborn through your struggle? Remember, nothing is coincidence, not even the storms, especially not the storms. The soul always knows what it came here to become. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I trust every twist. 6. Everything you lose returns as wisdom. Not everything you lose is gone. Some things return not as people, not as possessions, but as wisdom, as clarity, as a quiet knowing that could not have been born without the ache of absence. Loss feels like a thief at first. It arrives uninvited, takes what was precious, and leaves you holding silence. But look again. Stay long enough in that silence, and you begin to hear something softer, something sacred emerge. We think loss is the end, but it is often the beginning, the soul's doorway into deeper seeing. Like a teacup once full and now spilled across the floor, we mourn what is gone. Yet it is only through that emptying that space is made for a finer brew, not always sweeter but wiser, and wisdom, unlike comfort, lasts. Think of a loss you've carried, a person, a dream, a moment you thought you'd never recover from. What did it take from you, and now, what has it given? Perhaps it has given you strength, compassion, a deeper capacity to love others who are grieving. Perhaps it taught you who you truly are when all the scaffolding is stripped away. We are always afraid of letting go, but life, in its quiet design, knows when something has served its purpose. What falls away often falls away on time. We just don't recognize the schedule. We resist. We beg it to stay. And in doing so, we forget the deeper truth. Nothing meant for your growth will ever truly leave you. It will return, not as what it was, but as understanding. Close your eyes, call to mind one deep loss. Now imagine it as a lantern. What did it illuminate in your life? What truth did it force you to see? Maybe it showed you the value of presence, the fragility of time, the beauty of loving without guarantee. Maybe it made you softer or braver. What wisdom did your most painful goodbye give you? And now, how are you living differently because of it? Breathe gently. Inhale and allow space for whatever rises. Exhale and release the tight grip of wishing things had gone another way. They went the way they needed to, not to punish you, but to wake you. Loss will visit all of us, but suffering becomes sacred when we let it teach us, when we don't just survive it, but transform through it, and this is how life moves. Not in straight lines, but in spirals of learning and letting go. If these words open something inside you, offer a moment of stillness and let them settle. Like this video, subscribe for more Buddhist-inspired insight, and in the comments, share what loss gave you your deepest wisdom. Remember, what you lose today may one day return as light. 7. The people who leave you leave lessons behind. Some souls don't come to stay. They arrive like shooting stars, brief, brilliant, unforgettable, and just as quickly, they vanish. And yet, something of them lingers. A lesson, a shift, a quiet turning in the soil of your spirit. We grieve the goodbye. But what if they were never meant to stay? What if their purpose was not permanence, but awakening? Not every presence is meant to be permanent. Some are meant to stir the sleeping parts of us, to break open a truth we couldn't face alone. They hold up mirrors, not forever, but just long enough for us to see something essential, and then they leave. The mind resists this. The heart aches. But the soul remembers. Growth doesn't always come with comfort, and teachers don't always come with warning. Close your eyes. Think of one person who is no longer in your life, someone you cared for, someone you lost through time, distance, conflict, or silence. Say softly to yourself, "Thank you for the gift I didn't understand then." Maybe they taught you strength by leaving. Maybe their betrayal taught you boundaries. Maybe their love, though short-lived, reminded you that your heart could open again. Sometimes their absence teaches you what their presence never could. When they're gone, you see more clearly. The moments that once confused you make sense. You understand why the laughter mattered, why the pain was necessary, why the chapter had to end, and slowly, the wound turns into wisdom. The missing becomes meaning. You might ask, what lesson did they leave behind? It may be subtle, it may be loud, but it's there, tucked inside your becoming. No person crosses our path by accident. Everyone arrives carrying something, and everyone departs leaving something. That is the sacred choreography of life, not coincidence, not cruelty, but cause and compassion. Let go of the belief that relationships must last to be meaningful. Some of the deepest shifts in your soul were triggered by those who appeared briefly, but burned brightly. The monk you meet for one evening, the friend who disappears after one season, the stranger who says the exact words you needed to hear. Not everyone is meant to walk with you to the end, but all who come leave footprints. Let your grief become gratitude. Let your longing become learning. If these words bring someone to mind, pause, reflect, and in that stillness, say thank you. Not because it ended, but because it began, because you were changed. If this touched something inside you, like this video, subscribe for more Buddhist-inspired wisdom, and in the comments, share what did someone leave behind when they left your life. Even shooting stars leave light behind. Let it guide you. 8. The universe doesn't punish. It redirects. There are moments in life that sting with such precision, they feel personal. A door closes, just when you thought it would open. A person you trusted walks away. A dream you nurtured begins to unravel, and in the hollow quiet that follows, the mind whispers the oldest question, why me? But here's the truth, that Buddhist wisdom and the soul itself tries again and again to remind us the universe is not cruel, it is conscious, it is alive, and it does not punish, it redirects. What seems on the surface like misfortune, like failure, like rejection, may actually be a deeper alignment, one that your heart has called for, but your mind has not yet understood. Picture a lone sailboat on open waters. The wind shifts suddenly. The sails flutter. The course changes. The sailor tightens the ropes, squints at the sky, and feels a rising panic. This is not the way, but what the sailor cannot yet see is that the shift in direction, the very one they resisted, is guiding them towards safer shores, away from unseen storms. This is the sacred choreography of Dharma. It does not move in rigid, linear steps. It bends, it flows, it adapts. It curves around what would have harmed you and leads you, subtly, quietly, toward what will nourish and awaken you. Like rivers, it may twist and turn, but it never forgets the sea it seeks. Pause. Bring your hand to your chest. Feel the breath rising and falling. Whisper softly, I am still being led. Even now. Even through this. You are not abandoned. You are not off course. You are being rooted. Drawn away from what would have drained you and gently redirected toward what will deepen you. Pain is not a punishment. It is a message, a movement, a realignment of the soul's true path. But we resist, don't we? We take detours as failures. We label slow seasons as signs we are not enough. We confuse heartbreak with karma and setbacks with cosmic disapproval. But what if the universe was never shutting you out? What if, in its quiet wisdom, it was pulling you deeper in? Ask yourself this, gently and without judgment. What pain have I misread as failure? Was it the job that vanished at the last minute? The love that couldn't stay? The timing that never quite matched your desire? Now ask, could that very no have been divine instruction? Could the collapse have been a course correction? A sacred detour, not away from your path, but directly into it. In Buddhist teaching, the law of Dharma is not about rewards or retribution. It's about awakening. Each experience is a bell calling you home to your path. The louder the pain, the clearer the call, but only if you pause, only if you listen. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The universe may have whispered before, but you didn't hear. So it sent a stronger wind, not to break you, but to break the illusion of control, so that something deeper could guide you now. Not your plans, but your presence. Not your ego, but your essence. So breathe. Let go of needing it to make sense today. Let go of blaming yourself. You are still in motion. You are still on course. And the detour is not a delay, it is a deeper way. If these words stirred something within you, like this video, subscribe for more Buddhist-rooted reflections, and in the comments, share what detour in your life now feels like a redirection. The wind may change, but the soul always finds its way home.
9. The quieter you become, the more life speaks.
Sometimes, the loudest noise in life is not what's outside, but what echoes within. All day we chase answers. We ask, what should I do? Where should I go? What's next? But perhaps we've been looking in the wrong direction. Maybe the guidance we seek isn't somewhere out there, but quietly waiting within. The soul has its own language. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it whispers, and only in stillness can we hear it. Just like a muddy pond becomes clear only when left undisturbed, your mind too finds clarity, not in effort, but in calm. The more still you become, the more clearly life begins to speak. Take a moment. Sit in silence. Even just for a few minutes, breathe slowly. Don't try to fix anything. Don't chase thoughts. Just be with what arises. That ache in your chest, it has a voice. That longing you keep ignoring, it carries wisdom. That restlessness, it might be trying to move you towards something you've forgotten to feel. Ask yourself gently, when was the last time I truly listened? Not to the world, not to opinions, but to the quiet pull of your own being. The world may reward speed, but the soul blooms in slowness, and some of the most important truths don't come in lightning bolts. They arrive like morning mist, soft, subtle, and sacred. What if the very guidance you're searching for has been trying to reach you through silence, but the noise of expectations, of urgency, of fear, has been drowning it out? What if your next step doesn't need more thinking, just more listening? Buddhist wisdom teaches that insight isn't something you earn, it's something you uncover. It was always there, beneath the surface. The breath knows, the body knows, the stillness knows. But we must be quiet enough to remember. So today, give yourself that gift. Close your eyes, breathe in peace, breathe out everything else. For just a few minutes, trust that this silence is not emptiness. It is space, sacred space. And in that space, your truth will rise. Because the quieter you become, the more life speaks. If this reflection brought you stillness, like this video, subscribe for more soul-rooted Buddhist wisdom, and in the comments below, share what has silence revealed to you that noise never could. Stillness is not absence. It's presence at its most powerful. Let it guide you. Let it ground you. Let it speak. 10. What you're chasing may be what you must become. First, there's a sacred longing in your heart, a dream, a vision, a quiet ache that pulls you forward like a distant flame on the horizon. You chase it with hope in your eyes and effort in your bones, moving like a pilgrim toward a far-off mountain, believing that if you just keep going, if you just do enough, one day you'll reach it. But what if that mountain isn't waiting for your arrival? What if it's waiting for your becoming? What if the door you keep knocking on doesn't open for effort alone, but for evolution? You see, desire without readiness does not fulfill, it wounds. And so, in its silent compassion, the universe often delays, not to deny you, but to develop you. A locked door isn't always a rejection. Sometimes, it's a protection. Like fruit plucked too early, dreams reached before you're ready can sour in your hands. So the delay is not a punishment, it is an invitation to grow into the one who can hold what they're asking for without trembling. So breathe. Close your eyes, gently imagine the version of you who already carries what you now seek. Who are they? How do they walk? What energy surrounds them? What do they no longer chase or fear or cling to? You'll begin to understand this has never been solely about the goal. It's about the you that must emerge to meet it. Not with desperation, but with presence. Not with fear, but with clarity. The soul is not interested in shortcuts. It does not race to the top. It walks the climb, step by sacred step, knowing that the true gold is not at the summit but in the becoming that happens along the way. Every setback, every pause, every ache of waiting is not random. It's chiseling away what is not you so that what is you can finally rise. And the more you resist the shaping, the longer it takes. But something shifts the moment you stop asking, when will I get it? And start asking, what must I learn? In that moment, the door doesn't just creak open, it begins to recognize you, because transformation, as the Buddha taught, is not about external success. It is about inner alignment. The outer world is always echoing the state of the inner self. So the question is not, how do I reach what I want, but am I becoming the one who can hold it with grace, without losing myself in the process? What you seek is not out there, somewhere in the distance. It is encoded within you like a seed, already planted, already promised. The longing you feel is not a void. It is the whisper of your future self, calling you forward to rise into the life that was always meant for you. So let go of timelines, let go of frantic effort. Stop chasing and start becoming. Ask yourself with honesty and love, who must I become to receive what I desire? And more importantly, what part of that transformation am I still resisting? Maybe it's the releasing of old identities. Maybe it's the willingness to feel what's been buried. Maybe it's the discipline to stay present when it's easier to run. Whatever it is, know this: What you're chasing is not fleeing from you. It is waiting for you to rise into its frequency, to soften, to surrender, to grow. And when you do, you'll realize you were never meant to chase it. You were meant to meet it, calmly, quietly, powerfully, because by then you will have become the very person it was always destined for. 11. You are already walking the path you once prayed for. There's a strange blindness we carry when we move too fast. We walk through answered prayers like they're just another step on the road, never realizing that the very ground beneath us is sacred. What you have now was once the dream, the peace you feel in moments, the people beside you, the strength you carry quietly. These were once the very things you whispered for in the dark. But the mind, ever hungry for more, keeps scanning the horizon, asking, what's next? And in doing so, we forget to kneel in gratitude for the now. Imagine a traveler who never puts away the map. They reach the village, smell the blossoms, feel the sun on their skin, but their eyes remain fixed on directions, searching for a destination that has already arrived. That is how many of us live. We are walking the path we once begged for, but we're too focused on the future to feel its grace beneath our feet. Pause for a moment. Breathe gently. Name 3 things in your life today, right now, that were once nothing but hopes. It could be a relationship, a healed wound, a quiet morning, a dream project, or simply your growth. These are not ordinary things. These are proof that your prayers were heard, that the universe has been listening all along. But to feel that miracle, you must slow down enough to receive it. Many are searching for fulfillment while standing in the very place it lives. Have you paused to receive what you already have? Have you allowed yourself to arrive? Because the soul doesn't just want achievement, it wants presence, and presence is where joy lives. In Buddhist teaching, we are reminded again and again, the present moment is enough. The sacred is not somewhere else. It is here, hidden in your breath, in the sound of birds at dawn, in the softness of someone's hand in yours, in the way you got through what you once thought you never would. Miracles are not loud. They are quiet, humble, and easily missed when you rush. So ask yourself today, not what do I still lack, but what do I now hold? Not where am I going, but where have I already been guided? Perhaps the searching can stop just for a while. Perhaps you don't need to keep proving, chasing, climbing. Perhaps you are already here, and that is holy. When you stop looking only ahead, you begin to see the beauty blooming at your feet. The life you once prayed for may already be your reality. Now is the time to live it, to feel it, to honor it, and to whisper softly, thank you. Bonus: the one meant for you is already on their way. There's a quiet truth the soul knows, but the mind often forgets what you seek is seeking you too. We spend so much of life reaching, running, searching for love, for meaning, for our place in the world. But beneath all that movement, there is something deeper unfolding. A divine choreography, a mysterious timing that is not random but written. The sacred always finds its seeker, not through force, but through alignment. Imagine a flame and the wind. They move with their own rhythm, sometimes together, sometimes apart, but there is always a gravity between them, pulling them back toward one another. This is how the universe works. What is meant for you is not just sitting still, it's moving toward you just as you move toward it. But often, the more desperately we search, the more we push it away. Searching from fear clouds our path. Searching from lack blinds our eyes. There is a different way, still, yet certain, a way where you become the magnet, not the chaser. And that begins by becoming still enough to receive. Take a deep breath. Whisper quietly within, what is mine is already finding me. Say it again. Not as a wish, but as a remembering, because it's true. What if you no longer needed to chase? What if you trusted that the threads are already being pulled together? That love, purpose, clarity, they are not behind locked doors, but already walking toward you in their own time. Stillness is not idleness. It is trust. It is power. In the silence of your heart, you allow space for the arrival, the right person, the right opportunity, the deeper knowing. These things don't come through noise, but through presence. Can you make room for them? What would happen if you stopped searching? What beauty might emerge from your stillness? What clarity might rise when you no longer cling? There is no need to perform your worthiness. You already are. And that quiet truth is enough to call what's yours towards you. In the sacred texts, it is said, "What is yours cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay." So let the wind carry its gifts. Let the dance unfold. Let the mystery work through your stillness, because you are not waiting, you are aligning. The one meant for you, the path meant for you, the healing meant for you, is already on its way. And maybe, just maybe, it's closer than you think. All you must do is be here when it arrives. A quick but soulful summary of the lessons. The moment that broke you was the moment that opened you. Pain is not the enemy, it's the portal. Often it arrives not to punish, but to awaken, to carve space where light can enter. What breaks you also frees you. Healing waits quietly in the corners you once tried to avoid. You were delayed to be divinely aligned. Not every pause is a punishment. Sometimes what you're waiting for is simply being prepared in the unseen. Delay is not denial, it's divine timing, gently protecting your becoming. Trust that what is meant cannot miss you. What falls away reveals what cannot be taken. Loss is not the end. It's the clearing of clutter, the sacred space making for something truer. When something leaves your life, it's often revealing what was never meant to stay. Let go and let truth rise. Rejection is the universe's recalibration. A closed door isn't always a failure, it's redirection. Life, in its infinite compassion, removes what would have detoured your soul. Rejection is not cruelty. It's guidance in disguise. The soul chooses growth, not comfort. Comfort is easy, but it rarely transforms. The soul hungers for challenge, not to harm, but to evolve. Discomfort is the fire in which strength is forged. Growth asks us to stretch and to surrender. Everything you lose returns as wisdom. What leaves doesn't vanish. It transforms. Loss often returns not in form, but as clarity, as strength, as unshakable knowing. The lessons born from letting go shape who you become. The people who leave you leave lessons behind. Not every connection is meant to last. Some souls are here just long enough to mirror your wounds, awaken your truth, or nudge your path. When they go, they leave behind the insight their presence couldn't deliver. The universe doesn't punish, it redirects. The pain you fear may not be punishment, it may be repositioning. Life doesn't break you out of malice, but out of necessity. You are not being cast out, you are being drawn in. The quieter you become, the more life speaks. Stillness is a sacred teacher. When the noise fades, what remains is truth. Answers rise not in chaos, but in calm. Be still, and let the wisdom beneath the noise surface. What you're chasing may be what you must become first. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If something hasn't arrived yet, ask not when, but who must I become to hold it. Your desire is waiting for the version of you who's ready. You are already walking the path you once prayed for. So often, we overlook the very miracles we once longed for. Take a breath. Look around. What was once impossible may now be unfolding in your hands. Presence turns today into a blessing. The one meant for you is already on their way. You don't need to chase what is written in your stars. What belongs to you is in motion. Even now, trust the timing. Let go of control. Love will find you when you're no longer holding on so tightly. And finally, there comes a moment on the path when you realize not a single step was wasted. The heartbreaks, the delays, The lonely seasons of stillness, they were never mistakes. They were the scaffolding of your becoming. Life wasn't working against you. It was working through you, gently, perfectly, all along. In the heart of Buddhist wisdom, there exists a sacred dance between karma and dharma, a quiet interplay where every cause births purpose and every effect arrives carrying an unseen blessing. What the world often calls coincidence is, in truth, the divine cloaked in silence. The strangers you crossed paths with, the things you let go of, the unexpected turns your journey took, none of it was random. Each thread was placed with intention, drawing you toward a deeper awakening you may not have even known you were ready for. Peace is not born from controlling life's unfolding, but from surrendering to the vast, unseen intelligence beneath it all. There is a wisdom deeper than thought, a force more loving than logic, gently shaping your storms into stillness. Everything that finds its way into your life is a teacher, whispering guidance in forms both beautiful and difficult. And everything that leaves is a kind of freedom, an opening for something more aligned to enter. So walk your path gently, breathe into the pauses, trust the timing, even when it makes no sense. Honor your unfolding, no matter how imperfect it seems. You are not behind. You are not off course. You are arriving, slowly, steadily, soulfully, into the life that was always waiting for you to be ready. If this message resonated with your heart, take a quiet moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs it. Leave us your reflection in the comments. We'd love to hear what part spoke to your journey. For more soulful Buddhist insights to help you live with calm, clarity, and quiet purpose. Your timing was never off. It was always right.